guys, today we're going to be doing part 2, well, episode or part, we're getting to the camera, shove the computer over there. I don't really know if it's going to be a part or episode thing, I'm just going to call it episode. So, basically, in this series where we are now on episode 2, instead of part, what we're going to be doing in this series is reading the book that me, made. At the moment, we're on chapter 2. But with this series, with a lot of series, like, let's say, survival game series, because they don't need to be in a specific order. You can watch episode 200 of the survival games, then episode 1, then episode 19, and you can watch it in any order. But with this, you either watch number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, blah 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 blah, and then you still watch the rest, or you watch it all, like every single episode that I'm going to do in order. You can't just listen to me read chapter 17, then chapter 2, then chapter 9. Otherwise you won't get the story. So, last episode I introduced you to this series, and we did part 1. And in this little, in this video we're going to be doing part 2 and maybe a little bit of part 3. So, right, what just happened to the computer? Something just happened. So chapter 2 is called Magic. I'll just read the last few sentences from the last chapter just so you get up to it. The car had black leather seats with narrow stripes of white down the centre. Sorry to be rude, but what are you? Some asked curiously. Surprisingly, a skeleton. And now we're on the next chapter. Chapter 2, called Magic. And I'm going to be naming the episodes what the name of their chapter is. So basically, episode 1 was called The One, because that was the name of the chapter, basically. So right, chapter 2, Magic. Am I dreaming? I don't think so. Are you actually a real skeleton? Yes. OMG. This is just a bit of speech, by the way. Have you died? Yes, in a horrible way. Please don't tell me how you died. The speech takes up so much, so much space. Okay, they just arrived at a place some had never seen before because it looked tatty and a bit like a 1900s hospital that had been through the horrible wrath of World War I, even though it probably hadn't. They were walking down the gravel, stony pathway when Scar said, "This is our base, our hospital, and pretty much our everything." Basically, you need to watch part 1 to find out who Scar is. You, need to. Why is it like a 1900s hospital? Inside, it's like a 2100 hospital, when now it's only 2015. That's comforting. That's what the guy said. And then there's just a massive bit of space. They walked through the broken double doors. It needs a comma. Not talking to each other. Inside it was like a maze, but decorated with beautiful paintings and a bit of blood and a few organs that looked a bit discomforting. Why are the walls covered with blood and other horrible things? Because of about 100 fights we've had in here have resulted in bad ways. They took a turn left and came into a room with a few other people. Inside the room... That doesn't make sense. They took a turn left and came into a room with a few other people inside the room. I think that makes sense. It just doesn't have any punctuation. Because remember, this is chapter 2 out of 22. So my punctuation wasn't very good in these times. It's a lot better now, I'll say that. Where were we? I literally cannot remember. One of them had leather and the other wore smart suits. Does that make sense? I don't think it does. Guys, I think we have found the one, Scar announced proudly. OMG, the girl said in leather. Well done, said a man in a suit who looked to have had half his face bitten off, including the inside of his face. That doesn't sound nice. Remember, this book was meant to be an 11 plus. Well, that's what I was meant to make it. But so anybody over 11 can listen to this, but that doesn't mean that if you're under 11, then you can not read it. Because I kind of copied about 10% of this whole book from a series of books that I'm reading right now. And at the moment I'm reading an 11 plus in that series. Definitely don't buy the series of books. It's called Skullduggery Pleasant. Right, it's 9 books. Each one is about 400 pages. It's extremely good. I've read 8 books of them and I'm on the last book right now. It's extremely good. Alright, back to the story. Not to be rude, but how have you got half your face missing? Needs a comma. You probably won't want to know. Needs an apostrophe. You're probably right. It needs an apostrophe. It says, instead of saying you apostrophe R-E, it says Y-O-U-R, aka your. As in, wait, no, that wouldn't work. It is your iPad or Xbox or computer that you're watching this video on right now. I think. Might be a phone though. Don't get me mistaken, I have not forgotten about phones. Right. Not to be rude, but how have you got half your face missing? You probably won't want to know. You're probably right. This thing's so badly punctuated. Enough of this I can't speak. Enough of this useless chit-chat. Let me introduce. Okay. Sam, meet Darren's son. The man with half his face bitten off needs a comma. The bracket's well used, but it needs a comma. And meet Kim Blade, the girl in leather. You just wouldn't really say that in real life. Darren and Kim meet Sam. Needs speech marks at the end. I've put the speech marks at the start, but not at the end. Instead, I've put a full stop. Now we are introduced to each other. Shall we teach Sam magic classes? Give him his weapon of choice and teach him some useful tactics, maybe. Agreed. Okay. Well, you are saying you can do magic. Yes. Okay, let's get straight into it. They walked into an enormous grassy field in over 20 conditions in over 20 places. That does not make sense. This is where I'll teach you the basics, Scar said confidently. Firstly, you need to be relaxed to do any magic. So are you relaxed? I think so, Sam said anxiously. Okay, first you need to choose what class you are going to be. There are 5 classes for different purposes that could save your life at any time. So you're saying I'm going to be in deadly life or death situations? Hopefully not, but probably yes. So let me explain what each class does. Firstly, let me say what they are called. So there is Elemental, Necromancy, Enchanter, Fixer and Crafter. Now I'll say what they all do. Elemental has all the powers of Earth. So fire, water, nature and wind. What? It has no commas between. It says, so fire, no comma, water, no comma, nature, no comma, and wind. Not very good. Right. Where was I? I don't know. Now I will say what they... Wait, I just read that, didn't I? Elemental magic is defense and attack. So let's get started. For fire, just concentrate while relaxed at the same time and just click your fingers. Sounds easy. Trust me, it isn't. Sam clicked his fingers and suddenly a spark appeared as hot as can possibly be. Whoa, OMG. Now with that spark, thrust your arm forward and the flame will be thrown. Sam thrust his arm forward and the next thing he knew he had set the grass on fire. Cool. Now for water, clap your hands and you should have water in your hands. Sam tried it. Wow. I know I was impressed when I was first taught magic. And when was that? 1695. Somebody is that old. That old.
How old?
Oh, Maddie, record my videos. So you are 400 years old. Unbelievably so, yes. Next we tell you... What? Next we tell you will be nature.
But have you seen my new shoes? Ow!
Next we tell you will be nature. For nature, you stamp your foot and you should go underground.
Where did you put my shoe?
Oh my god, Maddie, get out. Get out. Put your shoe on outside and get out. Or I'll throw this tiny log at you. And now Ozzy's barking. Get out, Maddie. Get out.
Are you going to kill me?
If you get out, then no. And shut the door so Ozzy doesn't bark. No, Maddie, oh my god. That is why I hate Maddie. She comes in, acts like a really gay lord, and wrecked pretty much all my videos. Right, let's carry on. Sam stamped his foot and suddenly, as quick as a flash, the ground rose up around him and he was gone. Then he came back up behind Scar. Hello again. Sorry. Well, you seem to be strong and with great potential. That's good. Next, necromancy. Necromancy is the dark magic of the world that can do great damage, but is mainly for attack. First, you need the necromancers. It needs an apostrophe. The necromancer is one kind of religion thing. There's not two of them. That will be the source of the power. Then you flick your finger back elegantly and thrust it forward, and black lightning should come out. So here is a necromancer's ring for you. It just says 4. And now I need to go on to the next page to read it on. But first, before I do that, I need to check how long this video is on. It's on 12 minutes. Got a tiny bit more time. Come on, go up. Where was it? We were here for you. Sam took the necromancer's ring and slid it on his index finger, and it slid on just right. Sam elegantly, it needs a comma. Thrust his fingers back, then forwards, and black light suddenly came out, making a hole in the grass. Next, the enchanter. For the enchanter, you will need an enchantment table, the centre of all enchantments. I got this off Minecraft, by the way. They walked over in the direction of the mystical enchantment table. So what weapon do you want? What weapons are there? Gun, dagger, or sword? I'll take the sword. Good choice. Scar handed him a sword as sharp as Sam had ever seen. OMG. They arrived at the enchantment table. Put your sword on it then. Sam put his sword on the table, and a spark of purple light emitted from the table, and then his weapon had a purple shine. What the hell? That enchantment sets your opponent on fire. Nice. Now Fixer. Fixer lets you, as you can probably guess, fix things. Like weapons and armour. Here's a chipped sword. Try to fix it over at the workbench. Sam walked to the dusty workbench. What should I do? Whatever your heart desires. Sam chipped the sword apart and made it into a blunt dagger. Well, that worked out well. Indeed it did. So what class will you choose? Elemental. It didn't say what crafter was about. Did it even have crafter? I'm sure it said there was 5, magic types, and I'm pretty sure that was only 4. What is wrong with this story? Nice. Right. Where was it? Well, that worked out well. Indeed it did. So what class will you choose? Elemental. Good choice. Sam took his enchanted sword from the table and walked in the hospital, Scar trailing behind him. And in the next episode, it'll be chapter 3. And now...